Hey guys, Mr. Happy here and welcome to Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn 101. This episode, going to be talking about the level 15 main story mission. Now, not to be confused with the level 15 class quest, the level 15 main story mission is a fight with a bunch of mini NPCs against a bunch of mini enemies. That's how it starts and that's how you can indicate it. Basically, you follow the main story along until you get to this fight. Now, the reason why I'm doing a video about this is because a lot of people had trouble with this in Phase 3. So I figure going into Phase 4, I should do a video about it now before Phase 4 starts, so that way people can be sort of prepared for how they're going to handle the fight. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So remember, we're talking about the final battle here in this quest. So there are a few things that happen on your way to this battle, but they're pretty insignificant compared to this battle itself. So like I said, a mini battle between a bunch of your NPCs and a bunch of enemies. So here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to let your main NPC handle the big enemy while you handle all the little ones. So you can pretty much see there's one named NPC on your side fighting one named enemy on their side. Ignore them for the entirety of the fight until the end. Take care of all the little guys on the side. The reason being, when those NPCs no longer have any targets to fight on those sides, they will come and they will fight the big guy in the middle. So it just means that they do more and more damage to the guy in the middle until it's so much that he just dies quickly. Now keep in mind, after you kill enough of the little NPCs, there will be more that show up. Let them pick a target first other than you, and then start attacking them. That way you don't have to take any damage at all, and you can just DPS and they die pretty quickly, so you probably won't take much damage at all. Once you've taken care of all of the little NPCs, all of them, and it's just the big enemy left, and by big enemy, he's not necessarily that big, just deal damage to him at a certain percentage HP. He will summon a gargoyle. Ignore him. Now, when I say ignore him, I mean don't touch him at all. There's no reason for you to attack this gargoyle. The reason being, he will not do that much to you, really. He pretty much is insignificant, and you have a main NPC curing you, so you want to get rid of the target that there's about, 7 or 8 NPCs on first before you deal with the other target. Kill the main NPC, and then turn onto the gargoyle with all of your other NPCs. Like I said, you have an NPC curing you, so you don't really need to worry about taking damage too much. So once you've taken care of that, and you take care of the gargoyle, by the way, the gargoyle does do a move, does do a little AoE move. Don't stand in the red circles, all I'm going to say. Once you've done that, you will come to a Phase 2 part of the fight, where you will be fighting a demon and a masked figure. Now, this is the part where people seem to definitely be having problems. I can see why. This fight is very unforgiving, and there's one mechanic about it that's unforgiving more than the rest. But before we get to that, let me just give you a few general hints. The first big one, ignore the masked figure. He doesn't attack you if you don't attack him. Leave him alone. The second one is make sure your gear is as close to level 15 gear as you can possibly get. I know you can't have dungeon grade gear at this point because you can't enter the dungeons without doing this mission. So buy the best gear that you can afford. You should have more than enough gil at this point in reality. If you've been doing all the quests, you should have more than enough gil to buy some and still have some left over. So don't worry too much about that. The third thing is, you have gotten antidotes from the main story mission before. You have to have gotten them because everyone gets them. Put them on your action bar and put them someplace where you will be able to get them to in a button press. Don't have to wait oh okay. Don't have to register that you're poisoned and then go to your action bar and click it with your mouse. No. Put it someplace where you can click it instantly. The reason why I say this is because the enemy demon has a poison attack that will simply destroy you if you don't use an antidote on it immediately. You have 3 seconds between poison ticks. You should try and never take more than 1 tick of poison damage from this guy, because more than 1 tick can completely throw the entire fight off for you. Now, once you've got those things in mind, there are a few ways of handling the fight, but I'm going to give you my way of handling the fight. I've done this fight as a thaumaturge, a non-legacy thaumaturge, meaning I had no gear I had no level 50 gear that was synced down. I've done the fight as a legacy marauder, and I've done the fight as a legacy gladiator. So those are the only 3 classes I've actually done the fight on, but I can tell you what you should do just based on my experiences there. Now, marauder and gladiator really had no problems. Of course, I was legacy, so I had cure and second wind. Really just makes the fight a complete joke if you have either of those things. So if you are having trouble with the fight on any class, obviously marauder doesn't have the ease of just going over to Gridania to get cure, or going over to Ul'dah. They can go to Ul'dah pretty easily, but it's not as easy as, say, starting in Ul'dah or Gridania and just leveling the class there to their specific level to get their heal. But marauders also have a lot of self-sustain and bloodbath, so it's not really so big of a deal. They do have a way of getting their health back during the fight. So my main thing is if you're having trouble with the fight, level something that has some sort of self-sustain. If you started in Ulda as a gladiator or a thaumaturge, you can level pugilist to 8. If you're in Gridania, you can level conjurer to 2. Having either of these skills pretty much makes the fight impossible to lose. And when I say impossible, I mean there's no way you're going to take more damage than this. So with that in mind, even if you don't have a form of self-sustain, as long as you don't take more than 1 tick from the antidote, you should be able to stand still and just deal damage to the enemy without having to worry about anything else. Now, the reason why is because the gargoyle, other than his poison attack, doesn't really hit that hard. I remember taking 7 or 8 damage per hit as a thaumaturge with about level 15 gear. So that is really an important staple, is to make sure you have level appropriate gear for this main story mission. If you don't, he'll probably deal like 12, 13 damage, and that will whittle you down a lot quicker than 7 or 8 will. So that's my big thing. Even if you're a thaumaturge, stand still and just nuke him. The reason being, if you do not get him to 20% quick enough, you will die. His poison attack timer is shorter than your antidote timer. For that reason, if you stand still and fight him, he will get another poison attack off on you before your antidotes are available. If this happens, it's pretty much a death if you don't finish him before, get him down to 20% before the poison kills you. You will die. Undoubtedly you will die. This means that kiting him could have its potential advantages if you're trying to wait for your antidote timer. However, it also has the potential of messing you up because he can run pretty fast at times. It's pretty hard to kite him if you don't have some sort of movement impairing ability, and even if you do, it just takes so long and it's so much more effort. Standing still is almost a guaranteed way to make sure that you can beat the fight. And like I said, if you can't beat the fight that way, you can go get pugilist or conjurer to the appropriate levels to get their curing abilities. Now, once you get him down to 20%, Thancred, an NPC, will join the fight and he will cure you of any HP you're missing. So even if you're low on HP, he will cure you up. And he will pretty much two-shot the whatever his name is, the demon, from whatever percentage he's at. And then he'll move on to the masked figure and he will destroy the masked figure. You have nothing to worry about against the masked figure, trust me. And once that's done, the mission's over and you can move on. Now, some people might be wondering if they should try and do their level 15 class quest before that. And I think it depends on what class you are. Marauder and Gladiator really doesn't matter. They just get Shield Lob and Tomahawk, so not a big deal. Arcanist, we don't know yet, but I'm assuming having another form of Carbuncle would probably be pretty useful, since that'll probably be the level 15 class quest. And Thaumaturge, Scathe, not useful at all, not really, unless you're trying to go with that kite strategy. But even then, like I said, high risk. It's still risky. I would say no. And the Thaumaturge quest is ridiculously hard without having some form of cure. So I just recommend going into it without Scathe. However, Lancer, Archer, and Pugilist, and Conjurer definitely have good reasons to level them. Conjurer has a knockback damage. That's always good in a fight where you're trying to, you know, not take damage. And then Lancer, Archer, and Pugilist all have abilities that sort of increase their damage. So I highly recommend Lancer, not so much. Monk, a little bit more. Lancer is, you know, the Lance Star is not a big deal. It's just a good way to deal damage before he gets in range. So in reality, the fight's not that hard, but I can see why new players are having trouble with it. That poison mechanic is decimating to new players. Make sure you have level 15 gear, make sure you have antidotes, and deal as much damage as you can as quickly as possible. That is the best tips that I can give you guys on this fight. And after that, you get access to the airship, you get access to your dungeons, you can go level your other classes in the other cities without having to walk there. You get a lot of freedoms from beating this fight, so trust me, you're gonna want to get it out of the way as quickly as possible. If you found this video useful, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share, especially if you have a friend who may not know about this fight going into Phase 4 or who had problems with it in Phase 3. Also, check out my Facebook and my Twitter. I'm going to start using my Twitter now, as much as I'm not a huge fan of Twitter. And both of the links are in the description below, so go check both those out. I'll be answering certain questions on there, and I'll also be providing smaller updates as to what I'm doing. You can also see me tweet, like, Final Fantasy stuff, you know, occasionally. I'm going to use it as much as my Facebook, because I'm not a huge Twitter fan, but go follow it anyway. Also, if you'd like to donate to my YouTube channel, there's links in the description below for that. You can either donate to help me get some better equipment or better quality streaming stuff, or you can donate to charity. There's a link for charity in the description below as well. There's more information about that on Athene Live's Twitch channel. You can go check that out. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Tune in next time. Take care.